Okay, I wanted to introduce the line study assignment, and this is the first assignment in the two-dimensional design class. And line, of course, is one of the very basic formal elements of design, and formal, of course, is about form, the visual appearance of something. And our form language is made up of point, line, shape, plane, volume, and so forth. Since line is the most expressive formal design element, we can also conclude and understand that it has a huge and varied potential of variety and difference and directional changes, thickness and thinness, and things like that. So what we're about with this is to use line to represent visually or communicate visually the idea of order and chaos. So we have those two contrasts, and a movement or transition from one into the other. So the idea is not that we are laying them side by side in a design. We are actually starting at one point in the design with order and then degrading it over the distance of the design into an area of chaos. The principles of design that this specifically deals with, of course, is line. That's the element. Then line quality, the expressive nature, the characteristics, the personality of the line. Direction. Line is very direction-oriented. The ideas of implied line. Psychological line is not part of this assignment. And also the idea of picture plane. And of course, picture plane is basically where you begin. It's the first thing you have to draw. It's the edge or the perimeter of the design. You are going to be dealing also with the ideas of planning, because you have to plan and arrange your design space to set up the order and the chaos. So the problem statement, the purpose of the design problem that you have to solve, is to use inscribed and implied line to depict the contrasting concepts of order and disorder or chaos in a single unified design. And so you need to have an area of order and an area of chaos and a blending, a merging, a transition from one into the other. Look at the etymology of the word order, look at the definition, and also of the word chaos. Get your definitions written down, and then ask yourself, what is order? Explain it in your own words, and what does it look like? What is chaos? Restate the definition in your own words, and what does chaos look like? So the questions you have to answer is, what does order look like? What does chaos look like? And how do I merge the two ideas so that one flows into the other? And this is all using line, of course. The entire space is the design, so you need to compose your design within the entire space. You can't just float something in the middle. So consider addressing the edges of the design. Also, you need to think of surface pattern rather than an illustration. You're not trying to draw a picture with this. So don't come back with a portrait. Don't come back with a picture of a bunch of dogs walking along. This is a pattern. You're dealing specifically with line, and you're creating a surface pattern through repeated elements that are first orderly and then chaotic, or first chaotic and then orderly. Don't tell a story. Don't draw a portrait. You can alter the space between the lines. So the negative space is going to be as important as the positive elements in this. You can work with a variety of lines, different thicknesses, character qualities, lengths, directions, things like that. Lines can curve or zigzag. They can be straight. They can turn a corner. They can crisscross. They can cross over each other, as long as they don't close into shapes. So in other words, you can do this, but you can't do this. Okay, remember also that there is a process journal, basically a documentation of your research and your process. You're collecting everything you do in the process of developing this design into a PDF journal, a record, a written and visual record of your journey, and you're submitting that as the second part of assignment 1. So you need to first do some research and look at the process journal brief to do that. Then you need to develop a variety of concepts at quarter size. So the size of the design is listed in the design specs, and you reduce that by 25%, and that'll be the size of your concepts. The concept sketches will be included in your process journal because they're part of your process. You always should work in the same proportion as the final design. So from these concept sketches, select one that you'll develop into your finished design. It should be your best idea, the one that best solves the problem. That may not be your favorite. So you have to throw your analytical skills in there and set aside your personal preferences to make sure that of your concepts, you're selecting the one that is going to best solve the problem. And then you'll develop your final design. So the assignment specs talk about doing at least 6 concepts. So this student did a lot more than 6. The concepts are small in scale. They're in proportion, same proportion as the final design. And this student executed them on graph paper, which is a good idea because it sets up a structure. It has an automatic structure already. So here's the thing. Your research informs the design decisions. A lot of students make the mistake of doing the research either in the middle of the process or at the end of the process. So this is the mistake that a lot of people make. Or they'll put the research over here because they don't see this as having a whole lot of relationship to this or to that. What you want to do is always go look at what's already been done. Go find out what others have done with line in this case. Take notes. Pay attention. Look at something and record what you see. Most students will write down notes. They'll make bullet points and things like that. Others will diagram and do image mapping. Others will actually sketch or redraw the thing in order to understand it better. So the notes, the diagrams, the drawing help you understand how the design principles were used in the piece that you're looking at. Our focus with the research is on how our design principles used. What are the things that make up the visual thing that you're looking at? We're not focusing on an overall approach to a body of work. We're not focusing on the whole body of work. We're not focusing on the artist's biography. We're focusing on single pieces that incorporate the design elements and principles that we're learning about. So then the research will inform your concepts. So you'll make a variety of concepts, kind of test out ideas, and then you're going to look at them, and keeping the project requirements in mind, the purpose, you're going to pick the one that you think is the best. And you're going to take that one to the final design. So that is basically your process. So the journal is developed alongside your design project. It's not developed as an afterthought, and it's definitely not busy work, because you can't develop the design project without going through the process that you're documenting in your journal.